This property report is powered by realestate.com.au. Know the value of your home today. Track your property now.
To property now, and from the latest Reserve Bank announcement to the first weekend of autumn auction, there's plenty to talk about in this week's real estate segment with realestate.com.au's John Healy. John, good afternoon. It's been an eventful week. What's the traditional autumn selling season looking like?
Well, good afternoon, Danica. And the autumn selling season, according to market conditions and the data, it's signalling a very strong start to what is a traditional season in the real estate calendar. So that is great news. On Tuesday, the RBA left interest rates at their record low of 0.1%, which was no surprise. RBA Governor Philip Lowe said that he didn't expect interest rates to rise again until at least 2024, until inflation was well within the 2 to 3% target band. So he's still maintaining that messaging that low rates are here to stay and won't be going up anytime soon. He also said that he wasn't too concerned around lending practices still around property. He still says that lending is sound to property, which is good news because that's their main focus at the RBA, of course. And if we look around, he also acknowledged that prices had risen in the last little while as well. So he's acknowledged that, but he doesn't think that's too much of a concern at this stage, which is great news. If we have a look at the REA Insights Weekly demand report as well this week, it has found that there is a huge level of buyer demand still in the market. You can see that there, that trend line is really going up and up, as you can see. In fact, there are 41% more serious buyers in the market now than they were at the same time last year. And by a serious buyer, we mean people on realestate.com.au that are really engaging with a listing and looking at a listing multiple times and in a variety of ways. So that report was out on Wednesday. So that is also good news to people selling this autumn or looking to sell in the coming months. So that is all boding well. Also, the inaugural REA Insights Week Home Price Index, which was out this week as well, found that prices were rising around the country. They're actually, national dwelling prices were up 5.9% in the last 12 months and were up again another 0.4% just in February. So as Philip Lowe was hinting at there, prices are rising and he will be keeping an eye on that, but is more concerned around those lending standards, of course, at this stage.
Good to hear, though, that the property market has some enthusiasm at the moment. Now, what do the clearance rates from last weekend tell us?
Well, the clearance rates around the country last weekend were actually very, very strong again and indicative of very strong markets. If you have a look at Sydney there, they were up to 95.1%, and that was coming off more than 670 scheduled auctions in the Sydney market last weekend. So on the auction results available, that's a very strong result. Also for Melbourne, 85.8% was an excellent result. If you remember, it was a Super Saturday in Melbourne last weekend. More than 1,200 homes were scheduled to go to market. So to return an 85.8% clearance rate does show you the strength of the Melbourne market. Also very strong numbers right around those major capital city markets. Brisbane at 78.8, Adelaide as well very strong, and the ACT again very strong at 93.8%.
And on the eve of the first autumn auction weekend of the year, how are auction levels looking around the country?
Well, we are on the eve, Danica, of the autumn selling season, as you say, and we're actually expecting more than 1,300 auctions around the country this weekend. That number, though, is actually a little down on last weekend's number, down around 38%. If we look at those markets now, Sydney expecting 609 auctions this weekend. That's down around 9.5% on their number last week. Melbourne, though, is where the big difference is. 471 auctions are expected in that market this weekend, but that's down around 63% week on week, largely because of the public holiday, the Labor Day public holiday in Melbourne this weekend. So still 471, a very healthy number when you look at traditional Labor Day long weekends in Melbourne, and some really good numbers elsewhere around those major capitals.
Yeah, it's set to be yet another busy weekend. Just finally, when it comes to buyer activity, which properties are grabbing attention this week?
Well, if we look at the properties that were most viewed on realestate.com.au this week that are also going to auction, it's a real beach flavour. As we can see there, we have homes in Point Leo and St Andrews Beach. They're on the Mornington Peninsula in Melbourne, and also Allambie Heights on the northern beaches of Sydney. So a real beach flavour. Summer may be over, but buyers still clearly looking at that coastal home. And if we have a look now perhaps at the Point Leo home down on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria, it's actually a beautiful home. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in a beautiful area there, in a beautiful pocket, not far from Melbourne for a getaway or to relocate to. And it's on the market for between 1.77 million and 1.95 million, that particular home.
All right, another busy weekend ahead. John Healy, great to chat. We'll speak to you next week. Thank you.